We're living in a digital world, but only 0.3% of professionals know how to program, how to code. How can we keep going with only 0.3% doing the development work to create everything that the other 99.7% of professionals who need to use in their work? Recently, a group of companies has started to challenge this status quo. These companies are building what have become known as no-code solutions or no-code tools that allow non-technical people to create digital products. In this series of videos, we're going to talk to some of the people behind these companies. These are some of the movers and the shakers that are helping to push forward the no-code movement. Hello, everybody. Today, I'm here with Refat Ametov. I don't know if I said it right this time, but he's the founder of Spreadsimple, which is a very nice tool for you to create what is essentially, I don't know if you describe it as a storefront based on spreadsheet, but it looks great. Well, the way it comes out, and it seems such a transformative way for you to get into something that used to be very complex or hard to do. And Spreadsimple just seems to make it, as the name says, very simple. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's good to be here.
So I guess we should start from the beginning. And so the question is, what gave you the idea to create Spreadsimple? How did you come to be where you are now?
Yeah, so it was like an idea of our internal project. And first of all, I think it would be useful to mention that the origin of our team is actually code, I mean development, and it was our internal idea that appeared like a result of hackathon internally, and we just kind of noticed it that we have a lot of clients that tends to use spreadsheets in general, like Excel and Google Sheets in particular, and we use spreadsheets a lot internally. And sometimes customers ask to integrate those spreadsheets to the existing e-commerce product. And we just tried to create something pretty like a proof of concept when we, and at this point, we wasn't aware about some existing products because, I don't know, some surface Googling doesn't show anything related to that. And later on, we saw pretty much the same idea executions. But at that time, it was like to create a internal proof of concept. And then we showed this proof of concept to a couple of our friends, and they liked it. And first of all, it was like just a low-code tool in terms of just integrating the this, we called it spread view, integrating to some existing websites. And then we narrowed down to the e-commerce usage, and we added more like e-commerce related features like shopping cart, these order forms and filters, etc., etc. And we released it just this summer in June. And our product hunt launch was actually the same day like when we showed it to the world. And but there was a long way of creation this tool.
So the idea came from a hackathon, and after the hackathon, you guys decided to move the idea on. What is quite interesting. But in terms of being involved with the no-code space, this was your first endeavor in terms of trying to create a no-code tool, or the no-code is a consequence? Because in the end, what happened was the idea to solve a problem that in the end resulted in a no-code tool. But the main reason behind was not creating a no-code thing, was to solve one problem.
Yes.
What is the reason at the end that came from?
Speaking about the relation to no-code, I would say that at that time it wasn't like, let's create a no-code tool. And moreover, we wasn't aware about that term, because of course we was aware about there is Airtable, there is something like Bubble, and pretty much, I mean, we use no code from the very beginning, and even before it was called so, right? And it reminds me actually since I have technical background, and I do remember these early stages of cloud software. You know, when there was already a lot of cloud software, and no one coded cloud. It was just, I don't know, something, software as a service, just something that runs in the servers, all right? But some clever marketer coded cloud, and it has some exposure in terms of cloud software. Everyone wants to create cloud software. Google is investing in cloud, Facebook investing in cloud, etc., etc. And the same pattern I see in no code, and which is great, because sometimes someone needs, the industry needs some, I don't know, some help from marketing guys, just to take some attention from media, from, I don't know, from the community, after all. And we do understand that no code wasn't something created, I don't know, 5 years ago or 3 years ago. And getting back to your question, there wasn't some idea to create a no-code tool. And after then, a friend of mine just told me, you know what? You've created a no-code tool. Check out this community. Check out this hashtag on Twitter. Oh my God, really? I like that. I like that movement, and I like that the fact that much more people getting access to creating something new, and that is great.
I see that this is something that most of the no-code tools are things that enable us to create stuff that people would otherwise not be able to do so. Especially because we're in a moment which is very demanding with this whole pandemic thing, and lots of companies having trouble just continuing to exist because they're not allowed to operate in the way that they used to. They can't have people coming in and that kind of thing. And this is actually kind of driving a lot of people to seek ways to do things digitally. But without a technical background such as you have and we also have, it is very hard for people to make the move from I have a small shop to now I sell online and things are great. So I think it's very there is a very I would say fortunate coincidence that this movement started to get the attention that it started to get about a year previously, before the pandemic kind of became this whole encompassing problem that covers the whole world. And it actually made it easier for a lot of people to find a way to continue to do their business. And I guess that Spreadsimple would be something which helped a lot of people in this time. You have any particular case that comes to mind about how people use Spreadsimple to make this move into the digital space?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was from the very beginning, like our first customers were, I mean, some of our first customers were excited, like, hey, I can create a storefront, I can create a e-commerce website just using my existing inventory spreadsheet. Isn't it pretty? And they did, and some created some I don't know, like for instance, you mentioned cases, and off the top of my head there are at least 2 recent cases. One you can find in Twitter, our French-speaking community. From one of those guys mentioned that his client didn't actually she's a old woman, and she decided to not like stop her business in this hard time, but she decided to go digital, and he created a storefront using Spreadsimple. And it runs at the moment, and as far as I'm concerned, they do have orders. And by the way, we offered some discount because it was very impressive case. Like old woman want to go digital, and in these hard times, and we wanted to kind of help with this deal, and. Just one of the example, because someone create one of the first use case was to create a remote work related startup, so that everyone can submit a job offer to someone who can do this remotely, right? And as far as I'm concerned, it works also at the moment, and you can find it in our showcases. And for instance, as for MVP, because not only e-commerce, right? One of our customers created a MVP that actually allows to hire someone to do work remotely. And this work is used to be offline only, for instance, plumbing or something related to electricity. And this startup is around this issue being resolved via remote communication only. So that you go to website, filter by some specialization like electricity guy or company, and book the meeting with this guy. And you have this online real-time video session to solve this problem. And all those cases somehow related to pandemic or post-pandemic world, remote world.
One thing, we started this conversation with Mauricio telling people about describing what is Spreadsimple, but it's a very simple definition. Can you define more what is Spreadsimple? What is if I just came into or looking for a solution for creating a website, creating a storefront, or maybe a marketplace, as you just mentioned, what is Spreadsimple? Why should I use Spreadsimple? Explain more about Spreadsimple, and why should I consider Spreadsimple for my startup or for my...
Yeah, I see. Sure. So in one sentence, Spreadsimple is a blazing fast way to create a website using Google Sheets, Google Spreadsheets, right? And it allows you to create storefront or simple catalog or some MVP of your startup using spreadsheets as a database, and use spreadsheet as a database, and in a few clicks get nice looking website on top of it. And our kind of main concept is to be simply clever and to have the right defaults, so that we don't want our users to be tricky with these tweaking and dealing with those settings and make it perfect in many iterations. Rather, we would like our customers to have something working out of the blue and pretty fast, right? That's why you can get your website just literally in one click when you just pick a template. Of course, that's not a solution for all cases. And sometimes I would personally recommend to go with Shopify or with Webloom, Webflow, Wix, any of those site builders. And in terms of, for instance, if you want to to go deeply in e-commerce, to have all these tricky functions, and you definitely know what you do, and you kind of your business is grown to that level, I would definitely recommend Shopify, or even not Shopify, something like BigCommerce or custom code like Magento-like solution. There are a lot of solutions, you name it. Or if you want to create something that requires users to be signed in, to deal with some data that is processing somehow in a tricky way, definitely I would opt for even custom code solutions. And that's okay, because I personally don't like this situation when no code is strongly opposite to code. So Spreadsimple is great when you already have you manage somehow your business using spreadsheets. And it's great in terms of automation, because Google Sheets automated very well. You can connect Zapier, Integromat, tools like that. You can connect many forms. You can connect. I think even almost any application in that sphere somehow connected to Google Sheets, and it is cool collaboration tool. Real collaboration, like you can literally work with your whole team in one spreadsheet, and it will handle it. You can extend it via AppScript and automation tools. And we see more executions on that way, like so I can do the same in WordPress, for instance, but I will opt for Spreadsimple because of the power of Google Sheets. And it works instantly after all. And getting back to this confrontation that I sometimes see between no code and code, I wouldn't agree that there is a room for this confrontation, because actually, if you go back to the history of software, both code and no code were created for humans, right? No one created Python or JavaScript for machines. It's like a human to translate his thoughts to machine code.
Yeah.
And I would encourage young people that, everyone who start with no code to go deeply and learn coding definitely, because you can create something with Bubble, you can create something with Spreadsimple, but at some point you will need a little tricky move, it'll tricky behavior, and your JavaScript knowledge will do so much favor for you, and it will kind of enhance your possibilities, I don't know, 5 times.
We also always see that these are things which complement each other. They're not in opposite sides. For technical people, it's a way for you to get things which would be kind of repetitive work for you to do over and over again, for you to get it done more quickly, and to help you focus on the stuff that, as you say, are the trickier parts. And for anybody who really likes to develop, these are the fun parts, the ones that you actually need to solve a problem, and not just do something which you already know how to do, and you're just kind of going through the moves because it's something that you need to do. So for technical people, no code seems to be a way of getting this out of the way so that they can focus more on the stuff that is actually the more interesting for them. And for non-technical people, we see it as an enabling technology, which allows them to go from 0 to something really good, which they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. But as you say, at some point, if your business is growing, you will want to do something that the particular tool that you're using doesn't support, and then having knowledge of how to do that will be invaluable. So I guess that leads to our next point of interest, which is, how do you see these tools and this market evolving over the next couple of years? How do you think how far do you think we'll get over the next 2 or 3 years in making this point where you actually need to have coding knowledge to do something a little bit extra will be moved away, because the tools will provide you more options or more possibilities? How far do you think we'll get to in the next couple of years?
That's a good question. And I think no one could say for sure, but I do see a lot of interest from big companies in all things no-code. And that definitely will lead to some new level of no-code tools, I don't know, their quality and their expansion, because big companies means a big investment. And if they decided, for instance, Amazon, Google, they continue investing in this industry. And if we see how this software development industry was grown from, I don't know, from the middle of last century to today, you can notice that it's all about things being simple. You can and if you see how even programming languages look like at the moment, so Swift, the brand new language, it's very developer friendly, and so that user friendly. And JavaScript is being more and more simple in terms of this syntax sugar, so-called. And the software and all the interfaces, all this innovation of UX by Apple and other companies make things simpler, and that this trend definitely will be grown. But again, NOCODE is great for prototyping, is great for creating something new very fast, but at some point you may need to switch to some different level of solution, but not on in all industries. But for instance, for website development, you can create something with Webflow, and it will stay the same during, I don't know, few years, like 5 years, and that's okay. But if you create some like analytics tool, for some tool for remote communication with more and more traffic, you will lead to creating from all this stuff from scratch at some point, and that's completely okay. And that's why I don't want to kind of split those two worlds completely. They're very connected and interconnected. And I definitely see a big future of NOCODE for internal usage inside the company, like creating some basic CRM, some HR tool, some list of, I don't know, for well done guys inside the company. Because it doesn't require huge like high load, and it's pretty safe to make it internally for 10 or even 1,000 of employees. And I definitely see a big future in AI, because we can see a lot of great executions of AI-driven software, and it makes our life easier. If we saw previously, we saw some limited like implementation of those AI and ML technologies. Now we can see almost every software says we have something that processed by AI, some chat communication, some document classification, I don't know, some decision making, and more and more and more.
Yeah, I agree with you that the no code and code are mixed together. I think that all of us here, all of us three, we agree at this, because at the end, code gives you abilities in terms that you can explore the full imagination in terms of creating something. No code is a simplification that makes it possible for you to generate the idea, to create the product faster than doing code. Of course, for us that know how to code, some of these tools are in reality an algorithm that has over it a front end. In the end, it's the same algorithm being used several times with a different front end. But okay, it's for us that understand what is happening behind the tools. No? So I agree with you about this future. Considering the tools that exist right now for more time, for example, Bubble and other tools, what is your vision in terms of which of these tools are moving correctly in terms of moving to the future as you see the future in terms of creating software, creating digital products?
Speaking about Bubble particularly, I think the guys doing a great job, and not only regarding their roadmap and features, but also all stuff related to the education of the community, bringing more knowledge, and make it more and more popular, all this no-code movement. And I really love what guys are doing. And I don't think it's okay for me to judge some particular tool in terms of their roadmap and how they perform. But it's what is interesting that if you say that your main feature or like your main vector is the simplicity, at some point it would be a problem, because you can't create more and more features stating that you are a simple tool, because more features require more complexity, and that's an issue, and that's a huge challenge. Huge challenge, and there should be some vision, and there should be some kind of strong position to not. And in that terms, I really like Trello, for instance, and they stay simple for so long time period, and they have so many feature requests regarding, let's add this time tracking software feature, let's add those, I don't know, board mirroring, you name it. Yeah. It could be a hard tool so many times, but they still keeping this simplicity. Maybe they do lost some part of market, but that's your position. That should be your position, because you can't be simple and complex tool in the same way. And I think maybe in 2 years, many of those tools, and including our tool, including Spreadsimple, we will have hard times considering what features should be removed, or even not considered, even though it is a good idea, but the simplicity will be broken. And that is hard.
Yes, that is something which is always hard, but it's a very important position for any software company that it's looking to create product, to have a clear understanding of what the product is about, and to try to make the product as best as they can for that particular type of customer, and not try to make something which will be useful for everyone, because if you try to do everything, then you end up doing most of the things not so well. And but that is a very difficult decision for a lot of people who haven't realized yet that doing a lot of stuff or being all over the place will make their future harder and not easier. Because it's easy for you to think that if you have more features, then you attract more people and you will be a better product, a bigger company, that kind of thing. But in the end, you end up doing things not so well and not providing such a great service to the people that you're serving. But I guess all this is just to say that it's great that you already look at things from this perspective, which I guess comes from your previous background with code, and which leads me to the question. Before Spreadsimple came to be, you said that it was created as an idea from a hackathon, from an internal hackathon. So I guess where I'm going is, what were you doing before Spreadsimple? I mean, what else were you guys working on with code?
Yeah, I see. That's a good question. So we created tools like that, and we helped a lot of startups with their technical stuff, and we developed those products. And there was a lot of products done, so I don't think I should particularly name some of them, but in terms of industries, it is healthcare and travel industry, transport, and many more. And most of our customers were also not an enterprise kind of companies, like more like startups. Some of them bootstrapped, some of them got some investments around A, around B, but yeah, I do agree that that's not something that I learned only from Spreadsimple. Mostly that's kind of background of my previous experience as well. And I saw many times when some business owner do follow all the feature requests of his audience, and that's an issue as well. We need to decide what correlates to the like roadmap and the vision and our main ideal customers, and what is not. And this second kind of pattern, I don't know. I just saw that situation when you create some product for wide audience, for millions of users, and when you have some few enterprise users and they break your roadmap, because enterprise users can offer you a lot of money in exchange of some additional features, but most of your companies, most of your users don't need those features at all. And if you create a few major features just in favor of 2 or 3 or even 10 companies, even though they pay you a lot of money, that will lead to another problem, right?
Yeah, completely agree with you. Tell us a little bit about the name. It sounds quite logical why it's Spreadsimple, but maybe the idea in the beginning was not to call the product Spreadsimple. So tell us a little bit why how the Spreadsimple name came up and why.
Actually, it was a very easy decision. Spread refers to both spreadsheets and spreading the information, and simplicity was the core idea to make it really simple. And I hope we achieved this, and I hope we will stick to that position in the future. So it's very simple. Spread your information in a simple way, right?
Great.
It sounds logical, and I guess it just lends itself well to what you guys do. Well, I guess Alexandro was looking for some funny story of how it came to be, but again, this is a very logical thing for the product.
Yeah.
So I guess, we asked Manuel from Bubble how they came up with the name Bubble, and the first thing he said, "Well, we had some beers."
Bubble. I like that. It reminds me of Apple, Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he had an idea of what they wanted to pass as a message with the concept of, the bubble being something which is kind of very light, and so there were some logical thing behind it. It wasn't really obvious.
There is always some real story and alternative story, and sometimes alternative story is like taught by someone else who didn't create that original name. That's interesting. And it reminds me, when you see these fancy pictures of logotypes, and when there is gold section and some cool proportions and all these circles overlapping these guidelines, so cool, so smart, but from the designers, we do know that most of these folder types created on the sketch, and those circles and guidelines created after all, after the main process, just to showcase this work.
Yeah, interesting.
I guess it's very it's something that actually come up a lot, I think, from people that are using no-code tools, because things have become so simple sometimes that they kind of need to feel the need to make it seem that it's harder than it is. Like if you create, as you said, if you go out and you create a storefront and you do it in 5 minutes, you kind of may feel the need to make it seem harder than it is, to kind of give people the impression that your own work was more important than it was actually.
Yeah, and that's strange. That's weird, because when you bought some Toyota car, you don't care it to be very personalized, so that bumper is I don't know, like isomorphic design of your top of your car. I don't know. They just don't care. They just use this tool, this thing, and cover some of their needs. And for some reason, everyone needs to be special in terms of design. And sometimes it is disaster when someone that don't know anything about design creates something very close to his vision of aesthetics, but it looks disgusting. And that's an issue. I think it should just do his work. I mean, the tool should just work. And if you create e-commerce store, you just need first orders. You need to get you need to talk to your customers as soon as possible. You need to get into it, and then the next steps would be pretty much obvious. But if you don't do this first step, you will lead to nothing. And of course, it's okay that you so some of our customers that create websites in favor of their end customers, they ask us to kind of remove any mention of Spreadsimple and be as white label as it could be. And when we ask about the reason, the answer is because it was so easy to create a store, and I charge my customer, I don't know, some amount of money, and I don't want to share this information, the original tool. And but that's in real life. That's this concern is not kind of you better not concern about this at all, because in real life it's much harder to came up with this solution to create the original structure, to offer this like customer journey and add some integration. And after the order, you can add another no-code tool, like via Integromat, you can get your SMS or Telegram or Messenger message. You can automate the routine. You can do so many stuff. You can be the architect of all this digital business, and this requires, in these terms, being no-coder means much more experience to create. So it's not hard to be a good I don't know, like HTML coder for instance. You just learn something and do this for 3 years, for instance, and you can create cool HTML pages in a fast manner, right? But it's hard to create the overall digital process from scratch and play with some solutions and be able to reproduce this experience, adjusting for the particular business. And that costs a lot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in terms of the simplicity, and that's what caught my attention when I found up Spreadsimple. And I was looking for the news in Twitter, then I saw Spreadsimple. I said, what is this guy doing? And then I give it a try and said, why? This guy's made something extremely easy, and at the end it's easy to use the tool, but generate something that, as you said, it's complicated to be done repeatedly if you try to do it manually. Of course, if you know how to code, you can do it, but there are a lot of small things, tricky things that takes time to do and create it the way that your tool is generating right now. So I agree with you. If you are starting to sell over the internet, or you need to move faster, you need something that can give you the solution at very, very, very simple, very fast. And that's what Spreadsimple is capable to do. And that's what caught my attention, because usually people have things on spreadsheets. So it's a small business, maybe a guy that is selling something from their house for making money to survive. So, but at hard times like we are living right now, they want to sell. They need to sell over the internet in a more structured way, and it's quite complicated if you do not have technical background to create the solution at the end. So that's why that's something that Spreadsimple made it simple at the end. And
it transforms. I think as you were saying, the job from creating the storefront to creating the process for using the storefront and servicing the customers afterwards, right? So I guess that people shouldn't be worried about the fact that creating the storefront is now fast, because they should actually be focusing on the fact that since it is now fast, they can provide more service by showing people how to integrate that with their messaging solution, which can be, as you said, Telegram or WhatsApp, which are things that people are used to using, right? Yeah. So in the end, the job of the no-coder becomes designing this overarching solution which glues these things together.
In the end, it's a tool to help you put your business moving on. That's the situation. It's the whole thing is how I can create a storefront to make business. And the way that you guys made the tool, the design looks fine. It's not a bad design. It's in contrary, it's a good design. So it's a storefront that looks good. So it's something that you want to use. And at the end, you can generate this starting from your spreadsheet, or even using a template that has a spreadsheet already organized for you. You just have to change the products that are in the spreadsheet for your products. It's like copy and pasting. It's easy. And that's something that it's really, really interesting. So just to close our conversation, tell us a little bit about Spreadsimple companies, because you are starting up. Of course, you are a young company. What is the roadmap for the future? What are you looking for in terms of company and in terms of the product?
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to get back a bit. You mentioned this guy and he, etc. And of course, it's not me, it's whole our team. And kudos to our team, of course. And regarding the roadmap, we want to make it more flexible, of course, but we want to keep the simplicity. And the first, we already work on the long list of integrations, because when you create a storefront, or again, it couldn't be just, it could be just a catalog or some even startup. You can add more integrations or use it as it is, and create some like nomad list, like website. Sky's the limit. And we want to make it more standalone, because at the moment it's more like a single page website. We want to make it multi-page ready, and by adding more integrations, like for instance with different types of forum builders, with more and more checkout processes like Stripe, Raspberry Pi, etc. And we want to, so the first focus is integrations, because when you, for instance, even now, the fact that we have webhooks creates so many possibilities for our customers, right? They can just get this order and process this in many ways, and build something even more complex than some big commerce solution because of these integrations. And I think the general vision is like more integrations, more flexibility, but keeping it simple.
I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us and to share some of the story of the company and some of your vision about what's going on right now in the NOCODE space. It's been great having you here in the product, and I wish that all the success to you and the team at Spreadsimple. You're doing an incredible job.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for the great conversation. Yeah.